This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.
Good morning, and welcome to Resources Subcommittee. We have a lengthy docket to get through today, so since most bills have been heard by another committee, I would ask patrons to focus on the fiscal impact. Let's get started by calling the roll.
Senator McDougall, Senator Locke.
Here.
Senator Deeds.
Here.
Madam Chair.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Senator McPike, we're going to take you first because I know you have other responsibilities.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I appreciate the time, and we're all jumping around to different committees this morning to help chair and move the dockets along. First up is Senate Bill 1299, Madam Chair. You're familiar with this bill from Commerce and Labor. I know you're on the committee. This is about Brandon Nutter, the case of a Spotsylvania young man at 28 years old who died in a trash compactor, was ordered by a supervisor to go fix a piece of equipment that he was not trained on. Unfortunately, someone else came up to a different part of the equipment, activated the equipment, and crushed him. Under workman's comp, the family was only provided for $11,000 to bury their son. And so
Yes,
that is the underlying issue, and I know
Chair.
that many of the members here heard that part of the bill, Madam Chair.
We did hear this.
did.
We did hear this.
Senator Deeds.
Madam Chair, I apologize. We did hear this in Commerce and Labor, and we sent it up here. I think we have a committee substitute to reduce the fiscal impact, to basically make the statutory beneficiaries beneficiaries under the Workers' Compensation Act.
Yep. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Move to substitute.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second that the substitute be agreed to. All in favor, please say aye.
And that move, we recommend reporting the bill.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported with the substitute. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next bill is Senate Bill 1301.
Yes.
So, members of the committee, this is the PTSD and anxiety order for firefighters and law enforcement officers. This bill increases from 52 weeks to 104 weeks the maximum duration of the date of diagnosis for workman's compensation payable for anxiety disorder, depressive disorder incurred by law enforcement officers and firefighters. And the bill also increases the 52 weeks to 500 weeks. This is slightly different from the bill last year that you heard. I think all parties are in agreement with independent self-insurers as well, have discussed this over the last year. And so this language, there is no opposition that I'm aware of now, Madam Chair. And as you know, this is a long-lasting issue. When we did the initial PTSD bill several years ago, it's turning out that there's still members that are suffering tremendously. And Madam Chair, as you know, I served, and things impact people differently over their service time. I can tell you, after having kids, working a pediatric code, working a 5-year-old impacts you differently over your lifespan. And it impacts every one of these law enforcement officers and firefighters differently over their span of service. And you just don't know. You don't know until it happens to you. And I've had members in the service that have had to deal with it. What the problem is without these issues and without these benefits, often it turns to substance use, it turns to suicide, it turns to many other things without the support of nature, and that's what this helps to tackle. You gotta tackle this at the front end and provide the supportive services, otherwise people internalize it because they feel like you can't come out and talk about it. Fundamentally, people's lives are on the line. So this language this year has resolved the conflicts that I think we've heard in the prior years, and I think parties are in agreement to this, Madam Chair. And I hope the committee supports this, this language.
I appreciate your passion with this, Senator McPike. Senator Deeds?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I think we were concerned about the fiscal impact of going from 52 weeks to 500 weeks. And so the motion is to pass the bill by for the day to give us a little more time to think about, try to figure out what the fiscal impact of this is going to be.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be passed by for the day. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Senator
Thank you,
McPike.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Williams-Graves?
She's in here.
She's not here?
Hashmi is in here.
Senator Hashmi is here?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Good morning.
I would like to take up SB 1103 first.
1103.
There is an amendment.
May I have a motion on the amendment?
Second.
There's a motion and a second that the amendment be agreed to. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Could we get attorney to enlighten us about the amendment?
Madam Chair. There are two amendments. The first requires the heat illness standards for high hazard employers to provide access to shade or a climate controlled environment when practicable. And then the second one requires that in developing the regulations, the Safety and Health Codes Board shall include an exemption for certain emergency operations and services.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam.
Senator Hashmi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill was heard in the committee, and the focus of the bill is very simple. It's three words: shade, rest, and water. And what we are asking our Virginia Safety and Health Codes Board to do, in consultation with DOLE, is to develop a list of those high hazard industries that are impacted by extreme heat conditions in order to protect our workers. And this is a fundamental issue of basic human rights, and I think the amendments that we have agreed to, along with the amendment that we had adopted in committee that came from Senator Marsden, that says that the board shall reassess this list of high hazard industries every 5 years, is also a good one, in that when federal OSHA has made its determinations, Virginia's guidelines will then comply with federal OSHA's. So there should be no real budget impact we haven't received a fiscal impact statement. I don't see any direct fiscal impact. We have put in a budget amendment of $100,000 just to help ensure that our Safety and Health Codes Board are able to effectively establish this list of high hazard industries, as well as some necessary guidelines for protections.
Thank you, Senator Hashmi. Senator Deeds?
Madam Chair, we were concerned about the potential fiscal impact of this, and while we're trying to figure it out, I'd move to pass this bill by for the day.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be passed by for the day. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Senator Hashmi, you have a second bill, 1178.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. 1178 is what we call Faith in Housing. This is a different bill from what we had presented last year, and this bill is granting our localities the authority to adopt strategies through their comprehensive plan to encourage and facilitate the development of affordable housing on property that's owned by religious organizations or by property tax exempt nonprofit organizations. And again, there doesn't seem to be any direct fiscal impact. What we have received is that DHCD may incur some slight costs, but they can absorb that in their existing resources.
Any questions of the patron?
Madam Chair.
I do see a fiscal impact. Senator Locke?
Madam Chair, the concern with regard to this is, although we're definitely in need of more affordable housing, DHCD doesn't currently administer any kind of infrastructure program to assist with housing production. It doesn't have the staff to address any kind of zoning regulations with local governments. And if DHCD decides to develop any kind of infrastructure grant program, there is a preliminary estimate that this would require anywhere from $2 to $3 million per project. And if a program administration is developed, it's going to require additional staff resources of 2 positions at a cost of about, I'm looking, is this 220,000 general fund annually? Is that correct? Okay.
Madam Chair.
We have it.
So,
Senator Hashmi.
Thank you.
Before we make a motion, Senator Hashmi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just respond, yes, should the program be stood up by any locality, then there may be some subsequent cost incurred by DHCD, but at this moment, what the bill is attempting to do is to grant localities that when they have the next scheduled review of comprehensive plans, that in that comprehensive plan, they incorporate opportunities to support affordable housing development. That's not something that will necessarily go into place by locality, but it grants those opportunities. And then the strategies and the implementation is permissive to those localities. You'll see on line 23, any locality may adopt faith and housing ordinance in order to stimulate the redevelopment or use of real property owned by these entities. So that is entirely permissive. And at present, what the bill does is urge our local government to recast their comprehensive plan the next time it comes around in their particular divisions to include opportunities that will support affordable housing.
Senator Locke.
even though it appears to be permissive, there still is the possibility that there is a fiscal impact, and with that, Madam Chair, I would move that we pass this by indefinitely.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be passed by indefinitely. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Mc. Senator Hackworth, I saw you come in first, but Senator D. Step was first signed up, so I'm sorry he walked in, looked like he's jumping ahead of you, but he really did sign up first. Thank you, Senator D. Step.
Madam Chair, good morning, members of the committee.
Good morning.
Today we're here on Senate Bill 1276, Portable Benefits Managers. The bill would authorize a Virginia resident who has worked as an independent contractor to establish a portable benefit account. Under the bill, a portable benefit account offered through and administered by a bank, credit union, or other depository institution. And distributions from the account may be used for the payment of various health-related costs. The bill would establish a deduction for taxable years 2025 and 2026 for individuals who contribute to a portable benefit account. The department would prorate claim deductions to ensure that the association revenue did not exceed $5 million. And why would you do something like this? Well, approximately 10 to 29% of U.S. workers rely on non-traditional independent gig type work as their main source of income, rising to 40% when including secondary sources of income. Unlike traditional employers, independent contractors typically do not receive employer-sponsored benefits. This would provide for things like health insurance, prescription drugs, healthcare sharing, ministries, direct primary care fees, income replacement, insurance, life insurance, or retirement benefits. Independent contractors can deduct contributions to their PBM account for 2025 and 2026. Happy to answer any questions. Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Thank you, Senator D. Steph. Senator Deeds, I think you have a question?
Well, I mean, I don't know whether this has fiscal impact or not, but it just doesn't look like it. I'd like to take it back for the day to try to figure that out. So,
There's a motion and a second that the bill be passed by for the day. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Senator McDougal, are you an aye? For the day? Yes, thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Senator D. Steph. Senator Hackworth, I think you're next. And then on the sign-up sheet, Senator Salim. Yes.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. We have SB 1180.
Senator Bill? Yes, go right ahead.
I'm looking at the fiscal impact, and it says there is no fiscal impact, I think, on this one. It is, specifies that this legislation is tend to only affect state-level workforce programs. It will not impact workforce programs administered by local government or regional organizations, and clarifies that if the commissioner of the department does not provide a response to a program seeking a waiver of 45 days, the request be deemed approved. And it has a waiver also, if a program's denied, that the Secretary of Labor can respond within 30 days.
Thank you, Senator Hackworth. Any questions of the patron?
I have a question.
Senator Locke.
Didn't we do something similar to this last year that impacts college and career-ready programs?
I don't,
Just a question.
Staff.
Madam Chair, Senator Locke, there were some similar provisions with College and Career Ready that just impact similar types of programs, and I think that's what you're referring to, yes.
Further questions? Ready for a motion whenever you are?
Madam Chair, I think that since we did something similarly, I would move that we pass this bill by indefinitely.
second.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be PBI. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. No, same right. One no. Thank you, Senator Hackworth. Do you have a second bill?
no, that's it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Senator Salim?
Madam Chair, I have SB 920, which just clearly defines what throat cancer is, and it's related to the line of duty benefits. I don't see a fiscal impact on this, or at least it was not determined when we received the statement.
I'm on the right page now. Hold a second.
Madam Chair,
Senator Dees.
as I recall the discussion around this, the whole idea is that the commission has been very specific about wanting to know how you do, what, they don't really look at it as throat cancer, they look at it as cancer of some element of the throat. And this bill just clarifies the intent of the law that's existing to a large extent. And so I move to report this bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be passed, be reported. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome, Senator Salim. Senator Srinivasan?
Good morning,
Good morning.
Madam Chair. Thank you, and members of the committee. Today I have Senate Bill 1389, which
Senate Bill 1389.
which updates the firearm safety device tax credit, passed a few years ago to expand it to eligible retailers Virginians can buy to get the $300 credit. Despite the program's success, Madam Chair, the current eligibility is restricted to purchase from a licensed gun dealer. These devices can be and are purchased from many different vendors and commercial retailers that do not have a license to sell firearms. This bill seeks to apply the tax credit to the purchase of firearm safety device from any commercial retailer, it is not expected to have a fiscal impact. So I'll end by briefly mentioning that gun violence is the leading cause of death amongst children in America. By incentivizing more Virginians to take advantage of secure storage devices, we are preventing accidents and keeping our children safe. Thank you for your time, and I hope you can support this bill. Thank
Any
you.
questions of the patron?
Madam Chair.
One second. Senator Deeds.
Madam Chair, I think the thinking was this bill simply is clear. It's certainly within the spirit of the bill as introduced, and fiscal impact will be minimal. I'd move to report the bill.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Record your no if you have a no. Yes.
Thank you.
For, yes. No.
All right, you got my proxy.
Okay, thanks.
So the cipher.
He has my proxy.
Okay. Senator, oh, he just left. Okay, he missed his opportunity. He'll be back.
Okay, with that, we can make a motion.
Senator Jordan?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Which bill would you like me to take first?
Okay, let's go with, let's go with 1275.
All right. Well, that one's a happy one. Okay, wonderful. So before you this morning, I have Senate Bill 1275, which relates to Virginia Economic Development pad-ready business sites. What this bill does, it comes from a direct request from some of our localities, and what this bill will do is this. Currently in the code, you must have 100 contiguous acres of land to be able to qualify for business pad-ready grant site money. What this bill would do, it would reduce that to, with localities 35 square miles or less, it would reduce it to 25 continuous acres or more. So that way localities are a bit smaller would be able to at least be able to compete for that money. That would apply to localities across the state, including places like City of Franklin, Emporia, Alexandria, Portsmouth, Hopewell, Petersburg, and the like, and there's quite a list. So with that, I'll take any questions the committee may have.
Any questions of the patron? Senate Bill 1275, there's a motion
I'll second.
and a second that the bill be reported, and you have Senator Locke's proxy?
I've sent Locke's proxy.
Okay. There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Senator Jordan.
All right, next up I have Senate Bill 1088. In Senate Bill 1088, you all saw last year, I just gave you a supplement with the relevant page from the JLARC report in regards to 911 dispatchers and enhanced benefit program. Senate Bill 1088 seeks to add dispatchers for PSAPs to the list of occupations for which localities may provide to this locality option for enhanced retirement benefits. It only applies to employees who work as full-time salary dispatchers for service earned before July 1st, 2026, in addition to service earned on or before after that date. Again, an option for localities. I understand there might have been some questions on this bill, and so if there is anything that the committee would suggest that we could do to move this forward, we do have a couple people that would like to speak in support.
Senator Deeds.
I think there were, Madam Chair, I think there were three bills that did the same thing. Senator Perry's is a low number, so we're going to incorporate 1088 and 1156 from Senator Obenshain into 1083. And that'd be my motion.
There's a motion
And Senator Locke seconds.
and a second that the bill be incorporated.
That's right. 1083 would include 1088 and 1156.
That's the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now that we've incorporated them, I will allow 2 minutes each side for public comment.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Mindy Carlin here on behalf of the City of Suffolk, and I would like to invite Lieutenant Sandy Springer, who has come up from Suffolk, to talk about how important this is to the dispatchers. So.
Thank you. 2 minutes each side.
Good morning, Senators. Thank you for having me here today. I am Lieutenant Sandy Springle with the City of Suffolk Police Department that oversees the 911 Center. I've been a police officer for 29 years in the City of Suffolk, and I've spent a majority of my time doing work with the 911 Center. Our dispatchers are truly our first responders. They take the phone calls of a mother crying, not knowing what to do because their baby's not breathing. They take the phone calls because somebody's spouse had just beat them up. They may not go on scene of a call, but they're there to help those that are calling that need help. They're also there to help the officers, the firefighters, to keep them safe, to be able to make sure they go home safe every day. With this bill, and it would help to maintain our staffing. It's very difficult to get dispatchers because of the hours and the job that they do. They are classified as clerical staff now, but they truly do a lot more than what clerical staff does. Thank you. Excuse me.
My name is Lauren Parker, and I'm a dispatcher for Loudoun County Fire and Rescue. Today, I stand before you to advocate for the recognition of 911 dispatchers as first responders, a title and status that rightly reflects the crucial role they play in emergency response. Though we're not physically present at the scene when a call comes in, we are the first responders, the lifeline, the first point of contact. I've personally guided a mother through performing CPR on her unresponsive 6-month-old child after daycare. I've fielded calls encompassing drownings, murders, robberies, suicides, and fatal house fires. I've been on the radio during firefighters' Mayday calls when trapped in burning buildings and heard officers shout shots fired in the middle of the night. Thank you.
We've heard most of this testimony. Could you please state your name and let us know that you're in favor?
Yes, John Myers, President of Loudoun Career Firefighter Association. We're in favor of this bill.
Thank you so much. Jordan.
Well, I guess it's Senator Perry's bill now, so she might want to add some words, but
Welcome
this
to
is...
this committee meeting.
Oh, that's creepy.
Please ensure that telephones
but this has been
and other
before
noise-making
us.
devices are silenced and powered off. The consumption of food and beverages in Senate rooms is prohibited. If you wish to address
turn it
this
off, so
committee,
just bear with us for a
please be
moment.
prepared to approach the lectern when public comment is requested. Identify yourself for the record and observe the stated time limits.
We know what to do, but they want to tell us anyway.
What I would say is this was a clear recommendation from the JLARC report. I think this is something that we need to do for quite some time. And now when we have technology coming online, especially for texting and photo-aided dispatch transmission, people are there and they're seeing all of these things. And it's making the job absolutely more egregious day by day.
Madam Chair.
Senator Deeds?
I didn't read the JLARC report that way.
I gave you a copy last year, and it's in front of you for this year, too.
Okay.
I'm going to disregard that announcement that you all just heard, and I'm going to give JLOC 1 minute. Please.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, I'm Hal Greer from JLARC. First of all, we didn't have any recommendations in our report. We just presented the information, and 911 operators fell low on physical demand. They scored very low in terms of the physical demand piece of it, and so if you look at the list, and I don't have the page in front of me with all of them on it, but they fall really low. I think they have one circle on physical demand. They have high on public responsibility. They definitely score high on that, but they score low on demand. And so I would just share that. That's what we say in the report.
Thank you.
Well,
Back to you, Senator Deeds.
Madam Chair, I think what we want to do, we want something more specific from JLARC because there are a wide range of ways we could expand benefits, and we want to make sure that. So I think what I'm going to move that we pass the bill by for the day, and we ask JLARC for a broader study.
Just to conclude real quick, Madam Chair, I think the one thing that JLARC did include is the assessment of things like PTSD, and I think we all might need to look at a scaled down multiplier. Would be a thoughtful recommendation.
Well, it's something
There's a
we thought
motion
about.
that the bill pass by for the day. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Thank you, Senator Jordan. Okay, next on our list, got Senator Jordan. Senator Markey here? Yes, Senator Markey.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. I don't see my expert here, but I'm hoping that Madam...
You taking up Senate Bill 1207?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Think Madam Chairman might be a little bit of an expert on this, since she sits on the MEI. So this is a bill that would establish a new fund referred to as the Lithium-Ion Battery Separator Manufacturing Grant Fund. And this would award grants to a qualified company that engages in the manufacture of lithium-ion battery separators that make a capital investment at a facility in Pittsylvania County. So this is for the big announcement that we had for Microporous in Pittsylvania County. You all probably remember. I'm not sure if you need any other further questions, if you have any questions about this.
Madam Chair, I think there's a technical amendment for this bill. Is that correct?
May I have a motion on the technical amendment?
Well, I'd like it reported, but I'll move the amendment.
There's a motion and
Senator
you're
Locke
second
will
by Senator
second.
Locke, that the amendment be agreed to. All in favor say aye. Aye. Senator Dees.
With
Stephen's gonna,
report.
attorney's gonna tell us what that means.
Madam Chair, the amendment would amend the definition of new full-time job in the bill so that instead of the average annual wage will be at least $45,896, subject to an escalation factor for each year as set forth in the MOU.
I'll move to report the bill as amended. And Senator Locke seconds.
There's a motion and a second. Get my mic on. There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported as amended. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Markey. Senator Marsden?
Thank you, Madam Chair. A little housekeeping. Department of Legislative Services created duplicates on this bill, 1464. I'd ask that we strike 1433.
At the request of the patron, Senate Bill 1433 will be stricken without objection. Senator
Thank you, Madam Chair.
1464?
1464, yes, ma'am. We have a huge network of roads here in the Commonwealth. We're the third largest dot, if you will, in terms of keeping our roads under state control. We have about 5 million tons of what's called RAP, which is the leftover material when they repave a road, where they grind it up and they take it back somewhere, and there's a tax credit available for them to reprocess a good bit of that RAP and then take it back out to the roads. Well, progress has been made, and we now have equipment that can actually go out to where a road is being repaved, grind up the road, mix it with other material, and put it right back down without the need to take it and store it. The economic and environmental benefits to this are just enormous. The ability to do this will speed up projects, keep them more costly, keeps trucks off the road, and they can still use that aggregate material back at the where it's stored to process it into and reuse it. But what we're asking for here is a tax credit to allow for the purchase of this new equipment that will truly modernize the way we do roads here in the Commonwealth. And that's the bill, and I have a witness here from the Asphalt Association, if I could. Darren?
Yes, please come forward.
Yes, I'm Darren Hayes here on behalf of the Virginia Asphalt Association. We worked on this bill for 2 years. Really, the effort is just to incentivize recycling, specifically at site, cut down on our carbon footprint across the industry. But as the patron said, currently the machinery we have at fixed location sites is covered under the advanced recycling tax credit. But this would allow us to actually do it on site on the roads. So as he said, large cost savings, bring down the price that these contractors need to bid, and also has a positive environmental impact.
Any questions of the speaker?
Madam Chair, just to conclude, we have a budget amendment in for, I think, $3 million, and I believe there's a FIS on this from the Taxation Department. But this is the way to take us into the future on how we redo roads. And hope it's the pleasure of the Resources Subcommittee to pass the bill.
Senator Marston, I made a statement last night, and I think it might have caught on. I came from a family of 7. I'm the oldest, and all of us couldn't get shoes on the same day. And I think this might be one of those times when one of the kids don't get shoes.
That was a concern, and in a year when we've got these increasing demands from K through 12, and we've got a huge Medicaid shortfall, we've got needs in Children's Act, CSA. It's just a question of where we're going to put money. This is a good idea.
Yes, it is.
But we can't afford to do it right now, so I'm going to move we pass the bill by indefinitely. And Senator Locke seconds.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be passed by indefinitely. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Keep this in mind. This is the future. Thank you.
Well, all the kids get shoes at some point.
Yeah.
They just don't all get them at the same time.
Yeah, I understand. I always tell people that come to me, says, yes, you're going to save us money in the long time, but I don't have the money today.
Today. Thank you. Senator Cipher, you're back? Yes. Senator Marston has another, oh, yes, he does. I'm sorry. Senator Marston has one more bill.
That bill's going to go by for the day anyway.
I'm sorry, I was unaware. I had that one today. This is the Mass Violence Care Fund.
Yes.
The money already is already in existence. It's in a fund at workers' compensation. We just need the vehicle to be able to disperse it, and this is not something that will need to be reloaded every year. The money that will be spent on helping people who are victims of mass violence, like what happened at Virginia Tech, is a prime example. It will come from the interest earned by that $10 million. So all we're really looking for here is the ability to access those funds, make the decisions, and award them as may be required in the future.
I think we were trying to get a handle on exactly how much money this was going to take. We noted that Maine is the only other state with a mass violence care fund. And I wanted to move that we were going to pass the bill by for the day to try to get a handle on the money. And Senator Locke seconds that motion.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be PPI. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. I'm sorry, PBD, not I, D. There's a motion and a second that the bill be passed by for the day. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. D is always better than I.
Yes, yes. Okay, Senator Cipher, you're back up.
Madam Chair, members of the committee. Yes, ma'am. 1446. No, I'm sorry, yeah, 1488, which creates a Virginia income tax credit for family caregivers. Essentially, it allows individuals that are a primary caregiver for an eligible family member to claim up to 50% of their eligible expenditures to a maximum of $1,000 annually of tax credit as a result of their care. And some quick notes before getting to the fiscal. According to AARP of Virginia, there are about 980,000 of these family caregivers in Virginia, described as the invisible backbone of our long-term care system. The economic value of the care they're providing is estimated to be around $14 billion. And these caregivers are spending on average about $7,200 per year out of their pockets to care for their family members. 6 states have enacted similar legislation. The fiscal on this, it looks like about $665,000 over 5 years for administration, and the tax revenue impact is unknown, but is estimated it could be as much as $20 million annually, depending on how many people participate.
Madam Chair, I think this was a bill I carried about 20 years ago. And the cost has only grown. $21 million a year is what we have as a fiscal impact a year, potentially. And that's just too much at this point for us to consider
Given all our other obligations.
going forward. I mean, this is one of those situations where the kids can't all, as you point out, the kids can't all choose the same year. So I'm going to move to pass the bill by indefinitely, and Senator Locke will second.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be PPI. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. One no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Good morning, Madam Chair. I've got three bills, two dealing with unemployment.
You want to start with 1056 first?
Yeah, actually 1057, if that's okay.
That's fine.
What this does right now, when you're unemployed in Virginia, you're allowed to earn $50 from working part-time before it affects your unemployment benefit. And this is a bill that was recommended by the Commission on Unemployment Compensation and the Committee of Commerce and Labor. The income disregard in Virginia was last revised in 2005. At the time, the hourly wage was $5.15. Now it's $12.41. The income disregard was not kept in pace with inflation or hourly wage growth. Basically, you could earn up to $100 a week part-time while
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All in favor, please say aye. Bill is reported. Senator Evan, go to your next bill.
Thanks. 1056 increases the maximum weekly benefits. We have a fairly low recipiency rate for unemployment beneficiaries in Virginia. Benefits currently range from 60 to 300.
Senator Dees has a motion.
Madam Chair, I move we recommend reporting the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Senator Evan, you have one more bill.
Thank you. This is Senate Bill 1060. I have a substitute that I had prepared, and I received a proposal for 49.
Let me get a motion on the substitute on Senate Bill 1060. And that's the retail tobacco?
You want to adopt the substitute first? What is this substitute?
I prepared a substitute, and I received a 49-page substitute from tax last night at 11:30 p.m. that I had not reviewed fully. I think perhaps the prudent thing would be to adopt my substitute, and we can talk to them further before it goes to full committee, if that's
So this
okay.
is not the substitute that tax prepared?
Right, my substitute, and we could consider theirs further in full committee. I'll talk to them first
Senator
and
McDougal?
staff.
Does this have any fee increase in it, the substitute?
Yeah, it's designed that the fee on licensees would help it be self-supporting. In my substitute, perhaps staff could answer that. I'm looking through.
Well, Madam Chair, I'm interested in hearing maybe the difference between your substitute and the substitute tax has. Maybe we ought to, I mean, I'd like the benefit of, I mean, I think since there are two substitutes, the right thing to do is probably take the bill by for the day and figure it out. But, well, I hope so, yes.
By tomorrow, yes. We got you covered.
Thank you very much. Thanks, members of the committee.
Madam Chairman, just,
Senator McDougal?
if there's rumors that there's a $300 fee in one of those substitutes, that's probably going to get my red vote if it comes back that way. Just, I don't want to trick anybody on it.
Thank you, Senator Evan. We'll get
Appreciate
back
it.
to you by tomorrow. Thank you.
Pekarsky's out there.
I see Senator Pekarsky.
Good morning, Madam Chair. SB 1269.
Yes. Senator Pekarsky.
Okay, so this was a bill that came before you last year. It allows any licensed surplus line broker to be exempted from annual taxes, license taxes, penalties, and other costs on any policy of insurance procured by such broker on behalf of the Virginia Railway Express. And since last session, the Virginia Department of Treasury did conduct a review which concluded that this exemption would be beneficial. I can go into the details of it, or if you have questions, or if you're not.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Senator Locke, do a second. All in favor, say aye. We got 4 ayes on it. Thank you, Senator Pakarski.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members.
Okay, I have other patrons who I don't see yet. Senator Perry, Senator Perry? Senator Stanley? Can I get somebody to handle those? Okay, we can go to your bill, Senator Deeds.
Senate Bill 1183 is a bill, it's pretty much described in the title of the bill, the Access to Justice Act. It establishes a public defender in every judicial circuit. It raises the pay for court-appointed lawyers. It puts more prosecutors around the state, basically to prosecute Class 1 and Class 2 misdemeanors. It is the right thing to do. It's a question of, it's got a significant fiscal impact, even though we pared it down somewhat. And I think maybe what we need to do with this bill is pass it by for the day and figure out whether we can come up with the money.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be passed by for the day. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
So, and Senator McDougal will be an aye on that. Senator Deeds, you have the second bill.
Okay, the second,
You have 2 more bills.
I have 2 more bills. Okay, 1196 with the, this is one where I am working with the industry on a substitute, and I'm going to move that we pass this bill by for the day, 1196.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be passed by for the day. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The bill is by for the day. Senator Deeds, one
Okay,
more.
the other one I've got is 1471. 1471 essentially makes this the Department of Veteran Services, gives them makes them it's about the portal. I think the budgetary impact is they provide a portal. This is something that's funded in the governor's budget. It's $500,000, and I'm not certain how you want to proceed with this one, Madam Chair.
Senator Deeds,
Yes.
the agency already has authority to do a portal. Is that correct?
Well, that's correct. I mean, I think the way they explained it to me, the Department of Veteran Services, this gives them the authority to be the entity of record to do this sort of thing. But they already have authority to do the portal. They have $500,000 that's in the budget right now. Is there anybody here from the Department of Veteran Services? Well, then maybe we want to take the bill by for the day.
There's a motion and a second that the bill go by for the day. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Ah,
Thank you, Senator Deeds.
thank you.
Okay, let me see who else is on our sign-up sheet. Senator McDougal, you have a bill.
Yes, Madam Chairman, bill number is 1164. Madam Chairman, this is a concept that this committee heard, I think it was 2020 when I brought it. And this is to set up an independent Medicaid oversight committee or commission. And Madam Chairman, back in 2020, brought this because there'd been a large miss in the number that we were going to have to account for in the second year of the budget. We find ourselves in the same situation this year, and I point out to the chairman that this is not a political party issue. There was a Democratic governor then, there's a Republican governor now, but there, in my opinion, there needs to be a group that is independent, that is looking at the cost drivers of Medicaid, and that is their job, and reporting to us, so that if there are things that are going on, we can react quicker because these costs are tremendous. I just met with one of my local school boards and was talking about the number that we miss it this year. If you put it into actual numbers, would probably be close to a potential 8% raise for our teachers. So when we look at it in those regards, we need to make sure that we are, even if we can't make any changes, that we're aware. This does not reduce eligibility, does not change anybody from being able to access numbers, but will give us in the legislature and the public the ability to know if we're not meeting the expectations on the expenses, and we can have understanding of why before we get to session and just have to react with finding the
We
dollars.
want to make sure that we're good fiduciaries of the
Yes,
funds.
Madam Chairman.
There's a motion, Senator Deeds.
Madam Chair, I'll second the motion to report. I'd note that while this is not a partisan problem, it's the largest problem ever this time. Over $200 million worse than in 2020. I'm not convinced this is the right way to do it, but I'm convinced we need an effort like this. And so I'll second the motion to report.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Senator McDougal, thank you.
Madam Chairman. Thank you, Senator Deeds.
We have other patrons, but I don't see them present. So, okay, staff, could you please report my bill?
Madam Chair, your bill is Senate Bill 1208. This is related to a current and mature semiconductor technology grant fund. This is an MEI bill. It creates the current and mature semiconductor technology grant fund and then makes grants available to a qualifying company for the manufacturing of semiconductors. And if the company makes certain capital investments and creates certain number of jobs in the state.
We discussed this at
I'll
length.
move to report. Senator Locke seconds.
There's a motion and a second that Senate Bill 1208 be reported. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
The bill is reported. Other bills we have, can you, Senator French's, can we get staff to take care of Senator French's bill?
Madam Chair, Senator French's bill is Senate Bill 1147. This relates to retail tobacco products and hemp products and the prohibition of seller distribution, and increases the civil penalty from $500 to $1,000 for a first violation of a retail establishment selling or distributing those products to someone younger than 21, and then for subsequent violations within a 3-year period, it sets out suspensions of a period or then revocation on the 4th violation.
This is, we also discussed this. at
Madam
length.
Chair, I'd move to report. Senator Locke seconds it.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
4 ayes. Thank you. We have other bills that staff might be able to take care of for patrons who are not present. Senator Rouse is fine with us taking his bill by for the day, so without objection, SB 810, that bill without objection will go by for the day. Do we have others that we might be able to dispose of? Senator Perry, Senator Stamp, Williams Gray. We've got to keep this rolling. We're running out of time. So if you could please do Senator Diggs' bill for me.
Madam Chair, Senator Deegs' bill, Senate Bill 1327, has to do with the maximum number of judges in each judicial district. It provides for 3 additional judgeships, including 2 in General District Courts, 9th District and the 31st District, and 1 in the 2nd District Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court. All 3 were recommended by the Committee on District Courts.
Madam Chair,
Senator Deeds.
I'd move we recommend reporting the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes. Staff, who else can we take care of right quick? What about here? Yes. What about Senate Bill 1231 or Senate Bill 1378?
Madam Chair, Senate Bill 1231, Senator Ayers' bill relates to Virginia Investment Performance Grants and the awarding of the grants. It authorizes the Virginia Investment Performance Grants to be awarded under more lenient requirements if the recipient is located in a locality with an unemployment rate or poverty rate that exceeds the statewide average. Grants would be authorized if the average wages paid by the eligible manufacturer research and development service is no less than 85% of the prevailing wage. Grants awards are subject to appropriations.
And Madam Chair, I think we had an amendment.
Motion on the amendment?
I'd move the amendment, and Senator Locke seconds it. I think we were basically undoing a General Laws Committee amendment. Is that correct?
Okay, there's a motion and a second that the bill be
Amended.
amended. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I'd move to report the bill as amended.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported as amended. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Is that a four? That's Senate Bill? Yeah. That's four.
Let me do the next one.
Yes, but could you please do the next one?
Madam Chair, Senate Bill 1378, also by Senator Aird, has to do with a child tax credit. It establishes a $300 one-time individual tax credit for each dependent younger than 13 and whose Virginia adjusted gross income does not exceed $100,000. And that's for tax years 2025 through 2029. The credit is refundable for Virginia residents and non-refundable for a non-resident person residing in Virginia partially in a tax year. The revenue impact in fiscal year 26 and going forward is up to $235 million per year.
Madam Chair, that fiscal impact, this is a bill that we'd like to do, but that fiscal impact is something that will not allow it, I don't think. And so I'd move that the bill be passed by indefinitely. And Senator Locke seconds.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be PPI. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Senator McDougal, if you could do Senator, yes, please do that one for me. Yes, Senator Peake.
Chairman, this is just closing a loophole in e-commerce and delivery of cigarettes. So I think it's pretty simple, and there's a potential for civil penalty revenue increase, but that's about it. But this just prevents the illegal or unregulated sales to minors of cigarettes.
That's your motion?
Move to report.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Bill is reported. Senator Stewart, I think we already took care of you. No, we haven't. Oh, we didn't? I was trying to let him go on his way. So let's do it. You have two.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
The first one is Senate Bill 958, Madam Chair. And this bill essentially allows us to transfer some money from the soil water conservation districts to other areas if that money has been unallocated. It would only be for a 2-year period. And I think this really came up, and there are folks who know more about this than I do, with Helene, with the hurricane, really drove this bill and the need for it. And that's it. I'll try to answer any questions if I can.
Get my mic on. Questions of the patron?
Madam Chairman,
Senator McDougal.
I'd ask, and maybe this is a question for the team, is this something that we could, because it's really for a 2-year time frame, could we do it in the budget, or does it have to come by statute, or I don't know.
I don't know. I'll have to rely on April.
Well, Madam Chair, I'd move we pass the bill by for the day and try to figure out whether we can do it in the budget.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be passed by for the day. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Senator Stewart, you have a second bill.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the second bill in the data center sales and use tax exemption.
You know the 2013 transportation tax increase? It has a
$157 million towards the construction of new schools in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and $157 million to roads and bridges and such in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And then I believe there would be nearly another $700 million, which would go to other areas in the budget, which is restricted spending, and I couldn't explain that part if I had to. But the crux of this is we are currently giving the data centers, as I understand it, nearly $1 billion in tax breaks a year, and I'm just not sure why we do that. I'm not anti-data center. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I think we have the premier location for them. I think we need to negotiate a little bit better. I think there are 200 in Loudoun County, and Prince William is trying to catch up, and they're coming right on down 95. So obviously they want to be here. And for an industry that has I don't want to misspeak, but $500 billion a year in profits, I'm not sure why the Commonwealth is giving $1 billion a year in tax relief when we've got kids' schools literally crumbling around them. They're sitting in there with mold. It's making them sick. We can't get the money to do it. We're talking about raising taxes on people to build it. talking about increasing the sales and use tax to build schools. This seems to me to be a very logical thing to do. I'm sure there are those that wouldn't like it. But Madam Chair, I just think we need to negotiate better. I guess that's the bottom line. I'm not trying to run them away. I'm not trying to be unfriendly. I just think we need to negotiate a little bit better.
Senator Deeds?
Madam Chair, and the governor wants to extend it to add it for the future. You've identified a huge issue, and I think while we are trying to sort out the various efforts, we need to pass this bill by for the day and figure out what we're going to do. And Senator Locke seconds that motion.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be passed by for the day.
Madam Chairman,
Senator McDougal.
before you do that, just can somebody tell me, does this impact some of the existing tax revenue? I know that we have an amount dedicated to the Historic Triangle Fund and some to transportation. If this sunsets in this way, would it impact those?
Madam Chair, Senator McDougal, I believe Senator Stewart's bill would direct some of those non-general fund distributions to then be distributed for school construction fund and then road and bridge construction. So yes, I think it would impact those non-general funds such as Historic Triangle. I think the thing to note is the 2013 transportation tax increases for sales tax. There's what you would call a kill switch if you direct revenues from transportation somewhere else. And I think under this bill, you would start those provisions and that tax increase would expire for transportation.
Was that, Madam Chair, was that part of the restricted? I thought we weren't allocating anything that was already restricted in the bill. If we are, I made a mistake in that.
Madam Chair, to respond to that, I think you could make some technical amendments to exclude those portions to not divert the transportation tax revenue from the 2013 bills to the school construction and road and bridge, and you would.
I'm not sure the committee wants to do that, but anyway, I think it's important we have this discussion, Madam Chair. At least we should be discussing whether or not they should get it recurring, you know, maybe as a startup or something like that, but to continue to get the benefit of this ongoing, to me, I think we need to look at it.
Senator Deeds.
In light of the bill that I moved to pass by for the day, my own bill that would have tied the continuation of the tax credit to energy efficiency, I think we have to take this bill by for the day. I think it's part of a larger discussion, but these issues are critical.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they are. There's a motion and a second that the bill be passed by for the day.
That's right.
All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
By for the day, Senator Stewart. Thank you.
Committee.
Senator Stanley's here. Senator Stanley, you have just one bill today,
Yes, Madam Chair.
and that's Senate Bill 904,
Yes, Madam Chair.
medical malpractice.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, members of the committee, Senate Bill 904 before you is, of course, trying to protect our most vulnerable citizens when there is a clear act of medical malpractice. This bill states that children under the age of 10 who are subject to medical malpractice and incur damages and injuries are not held by the cap, which the medical malpractice cap, which is currently $2.65 million. If you take out what I see now with medical malpractice lawyers, I am not one. You take out 40% of that, that's the attorney's fees, it leaves $1 million and some change left. And what we're seeing is, and we even had testimony from actually Senator Stewart's legislative aide, who was saying that the cost, his son suffered a traumatic brain injury due to the malpractice of others, and he pays $50,000 every 2 months for the care of his child, his infant. And that will continue. They have run out of the money that was awarded to them through the malpractice claim, and they are now on public assistance, which means that we pick up the tab. This bill protects the children under 10 because they're uniquely vulnerable. They require lifelong care in most situations. It's not a large class, but when there's cases of severe medical malpractice, those costs will go over time and far exceed when they're a child and probably go into their adulthood. Sometimes what we have here, when we're talking about removing the cap involving young children, we have then enabled the parents to pay for their care instead of the state government or the federal government. And quite frankly, it sends a strong message that medical errors resulting in severe harm to minors face the appropriate remediation and remuneration. It also, if you look at this cap, it's a one-size-fits-all cap, so no matter what your age is, the cap's still the same. What I've seen is from other lawyers that engage in this is that if the insurance company knows that there's only a maximum cap at 2.6 million, they'll put that aside and they'll run the whole gamut and try to slow down the process, and that's not good when it comes to children under 10. They need this care, they need medical attention to correct, and it probably will continue on for life. What this does is for 10 and under, it ensures that compensation will reflect better the actual financial and emotional toll on these families and the victims of this malpractice. We need to support these families in crisis. We need to make sure that we're not bankrupting them because of the malpractice of others. This is not a bill, Madam Chair, members of the committee, against our doctors. These are the insurance companies that are limiting the remuneration for these injuries. They're the ones that are playing the game because insurance is not about coverage, it's about risk. It's a business of risk. And so this bill tries to address it. It does not lift the cap.
We understand. We do.
Madam Chair,
Senator Deeds.
I voted yes in the courts committee on the policy of this, and I believe it's the right thing to do, particularly when you're talking about kids whose life care is going to far exceed the limit of the cap. But in this committee, we're not talking about insurance companies. We're talking about the bottom line, the division of risk management for VCU and UVA, and we figure at least $10 million a year for each hospital.
Madam Chair, I would answer the gentleman by saying I don't think so. When I reflected back, there were six children that fell into this last year that would have fallen into two tiers. One, that there were children under 10 that suffered malpractice, and two, that their care and cost of expense would exceed the cap.
Senator Deeds.
Well, I'd like more information about that, but I'm gonna move right now that we passed the bill. I definitely.
There's a motion and a second by Senator Locke that
Senator
bill
Locke.
be passed by indefinitely. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
No, same right? It's a vote of four, passed by indefinite.
I voted for it.
Thank you, Senator Stanley.
Hope we can continue to work on this. We need to find a solution. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Yes, ma'am. Let's start with that. This bill simply directs the department, the Waste Management Board, to develop guidance on the collection, recycling, storage, and transporting of mattresses and waste tires. Mattresses are becoming a huge problem, as are tires, as far as recycling. And what we're looking to do is establish best practices and some sort of recycling program for them both, especially with mattresses as we see them on the side of the road, on the side of the street, because folks are now starting to order them online more. And when they order them online, there's no service to come pick them up and take them away. And so this just asks for best practices and guidance on recycling of mattresses and tires. The fiscal impact is way less now that it's just simply a study.
Senator Deeds.
Madam Chair, I think you put it in a budget amendment for $50,000, and the fiscal impact, if it's not more than a study, is $250,000. I think this is something we could probably cover in the budget. We could probably something to do. And I think we ought to pass the bill by for the day and see if we can do this in the budget.
That's a motion and a second that the bill be passed by for the day. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. By for the day. Senator Williams-Graves, you have 1112.
I do, Madam Chair, members of the committee. This bill is not unfamiliar to you. It is simply the workers' compensation bill that includes repetitive injury, repetitive and sustained fiscal stressors in workers' comp. As y'all know from last year and years past, we are now the only state that does not cover repetitive injury in its workers' comp policy.
Thank you, Senator Williams.
This is, Madam Chair, this is also one of these bills that's the right thing to do. It's just a question of figuring out the cost. The average the last 2 years was $3.7 million and the denied claims for repetitive injury. I'd move we pass the bill by for the day and try to figure out if we can get a handle on the costs.
You've heard the motion, and there's a second. That the
Second
bill be
from Senator
passed by
Lott.
for the day. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Senator Williams-Graves.
Senator Lucas, I thought you were gonna let me spend some money today.
You know what my statement is that all of the children got shoes. They all just didn't get them on the same day. So we'll come back to you. Everybody gets shoes, but not on the same day.
That's the docket.
Senator Eric, we thought we completed the docket.
We've already taken care of your bills. We took care of them.
Well, let us explain to you what we did very quickly.
Well, but Madam Chair, I don't want to debate what you did to the bills. Only one thing on the VEDP legislation, there was a "and" reinserted that we had added on in general laws, and that simply makes it consistent with the COP, the Commonwealth Opportunity Fund, I believe it is. And so I'm just trying to understand why it was undone, because that consistency is critical to what we're trying to accomplish here. Commonwealth Development Opportunity Fund, I'm sorry.
We can look at that between now and the full committee and get back to you on that. So
Okay.
So you're good.
Let me know if you have other questions.
I will.
Thank you.
Now, as I can see, that completes the docket.
I'm going back to court, then.
And now, Senator Dees, you're going back to court and the committee will rise.
The Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, 1300. Did you know live Senate video is now